Hi. So I just wanted to put out, I just wanted to say something about Venezuela specifically. Um, Absolutely wild to see the United States enforcing its own laws on other countries. It's very like old school politics, like pre-World War II old school politics. Um, and that is something that I think the world it's kind of breaking the world order, or it's very clearly flaunting at the world order. But that aside, I saw a few things online with X that kind of implies that these countries are incapable of ruling themselves, which is again pretty wild. That's also like very old school thinking. Again, like pre World War II thinking, pre World War One thinking. That these countries need to have. In some cases, it's actually overtly racist. So, like they need to have a white person basically rule them in order for them to function properly. Um, and let's not fool ourselves. Venezuela was a failed state. It was socialist. It was poorly run. It was badly socialist. It was not effective in any way. The natural resources it had were actually failing to be extracted because there just wasn't investment put into it. It was basically a testament to why socialism fails. And socialism does fail. It's not an effective government. It leads to corruption and to a few people holding on to power really tightly. But Venezuela is also a really good example of something that these guys talked about. Darren Asimoglu, I'm certain I got that wrong, and James Robinson. They actually just won the Nobel Prize in economics. They talked about, as in last year, so they talked about how abundance actually leads to what they call extractive economies, not scarcity. And so Venezuela is abundant in natural resources. It has been as far back as we can remember, and it still is, right? And with that came a lot of groups that wanted those resources, that wanted that abundance, and would basically kill or enslave or do whatever they needed to do to get them, to pull them out. And that creates like this heritage of extractive economics that Nicolas Maduro is just part of that chain of kind of powerful people who then kind of extract as much out of the country as they can for their own good, and for their own well-being. And I mean, he was especially incompetent at it. I don't think you can look at um, how poorly run the state is and think that he was doing a good job on any metric. But there are a couple things that I think are important. So first, Venezuela is obviously um, a failed state, and it's considered socialist, and uh, that is pretty obvious. Um, but I don't think you should make the leap there that all all policies that are lead to bigger government are then flawed because Venezuela was bad. It's a bit of a specious argument. It's often self-serving, and usually it has to do with like people saying don't tax wealthy people, which is just like um, kind of odd. I don't really understand this cultural kind of like um, chest beating around not taxing wealthy people. I mean, if why would you take a solution off the table if it's better? And there's a lot of nuance there. Like I don't want to gloss over it or hand wave over it, um, but yeah, I don't really understand that. And the second thing is that abundance actually not scarcity for humans. Abundance leads to serious systemic failures. Like humans are very bad at handling abundance. Um, and it leads to consolidation of power, and it leads to extractive economics, and it leads to a lot of like pretty gnarly and bad stuff. And this is historically just true. Like if you look at a lot of the countries that didn't have abundance, they are more democratic, they have more inclusive institutions, they are far more likely to be egalitarian, or at least have systems where, capitalistic, and you can go and you can enter the economy and you can start a business or whatever. But if you look at abundant systems, they are just generally far more extractive. They're typically like top down. They typically are places that people are used, actually. So, and usually they're used to get whatever resources out of the country that they feel like they need, that the people in power need. So, with this, and I write about AI, this has a huge question mark in my mind about what happens when um, there the abundance is all around us, and abundance of labor is kind of trivial, and with that becomes an abundance of everything. How do we as a society react to that? uh, I'm going to link an article that I wrote about it, but it's actually a really pressing question in my mind. So hopefully it's not like Venezuela. um, yeah, thanks for listening.